Well, Brett Yormark suddenly agrees with the Big Ten on the college football playoff format. Yes, the same Big Ten that's been trying to take twice as many auto bids as the Big 12. So did Yormark just give in? Is this bad news for the league? What's coming for the future? Let's discuss. I have the video of what Yormark said earlier today and a number of things he talked about, including private equity, where he seems to disagree pretty vehemently with the Big Ten as of right now. Welcome into the channel here on Open for Business, a Big 12 podcast. It's the best Big 12 podcast in the world. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel. All that stuff really helps. I am back from Big 12 Media Days. Big 12 is in town here in Kansas City. Big 12 Basketball Media Days. And shout out to the league for giving me this sweet hat. Okay, look at that. If nothing else, I've got this, and I have the ability now to recreate the good old Rob Lowe meme, right? Everybody remembers this. Rob Lowe just chilling, not wearing a team's hat, just wearing the NFL hat. Watch out for me showing up at your local Big 12 game in just a Big 12 hat. Hell, I could have had this in Provo. Next time I'm there. Promise we'll get to that. Thank you, Big 12. And thank you, Mr. Lowe, as always. All right. Brett Yormark spoke at the podium. He spoke about a number of things. He took questions. He talked about sending games overseas, right? You've got Kansas, Arizona State playing a football game over there next year. He talked about expanding the NCAA tournament, which I don't like. I know most people don't like. He talked about the SCORE Act. He talked about private equity. But I thought the most interesting piece was what he said about the college football playoff. So first and foremost, he did say that right now the future format is not something being actively discussed by the commissioners, which is consistent with Ross Dellinger's reporting. And honestly, probably a good thing during the season, right? Everybody can focus on the season instead of having to worry about that. But the general push here has been to expand this even further to 16 or perhaps even 20 or 24 or beyond. But 16 was where the Big Ten was trying to push the 4-4-2-2 format, where they would have twice as many auto bids as the Big 12 and the ACC. Big 12 stood up and got the SEC on board to say, no, how about 5+11, where it's just one conference champion from all four Power Fours, a group of five spot, and then everything else is just at large. Go earn it. That was Brett Yormark's ideal here. That had all been tabled because it had been such a mess. Big Ten and SEC couldn't get along. And then about a month ago, early in football season, Ross Dellinger from Yahoo Sports reported this about the Big Ten. Quote, several Big Ten school administrators are socializing a concept to grant each power conference league an equal number of automatic qualifiers in a field of more than 20 teams. All four power leagues would be granted the same number of auto bids, perhaps 3 or 4. So what that means is the Big Ten went from, hey, we're just going to railroad through a plan that gives us twice as many auto bids as you, Big 12, to, okay, fine. You guys stood up with some resistance. Let's just get this over with and do a 20-team playoff where everybody gets 3 auto bids, or a 24-team playoff where everybody gets 4 auto bids. Big 12, ACC, SEC, and Big 10. Everybody the same. And no one's really asked Brett Yormark about that since it came out about a month ago. So today, because Brett Yormark has been such a staunch supporter of the 5+11, I did wonder, is this, I mean, it seems like it's something he should get behind if you're going to get the same number of multiple automatic qualifiers as everybody else in the Power Four. Would Brett Yormark be on board with this? Is this something he could support? So I took the opportunity to ask him that at the podium today, and here's what he said.
I know you've been a big proponent of the 5+11 playoff format. There was a report about a month ago from Ross Dellinger. Could be a format out there with 3 or 4 auto bids for each Power 4 conference. Is that something that you could get behind in supporting or change your stance?
Is your question, would I get behind a format that gave us the same amount as the ACC, the SEC, and the Big Ten?
Correct.
I'd be up for that. I'd consider that. You know, I've always said you got to earn it on the field, right? And, you know, nothing should be predetermined, you know, come the beginning of the season. So if there was a conversation about a format that gave the 4 power conferences the same amount of AQs, I'm all ears. You know, we got to be thoughtful about whatever format change. You know, the 12-team format worked. Last year, it was dramatic. I mean, it was great football. You had the right teams in, and that's all I want. I want to give our schools a chance each and every year to compete at the highest levels in the college football playoff. And if we're on equal footing with our colleagues, I'm all in on that conversation. Thank you for your question.
There you have it. Not a surprising answer if you just go through this logically, right? For the Big 12, 5+11 was going to mean way fewer bids every single year than the Big 10 and the SEC. if you're all getting 4 auto bids. Yes, there's still going to be some at-larges that will go to the Big Ten and the SEC, but you're going to be much, much closer. So it's a huge step forward. First and foremost, I want to emphasize that. The fact that we're even here and having this conversation and the Big Ten is kicking around the idea of throwing that out there means that the Big 12 has done a heck of a job in just providing some resistance. Okay. And I am of two minds here where I don't love the concept of auto bids in general. I don't love the concept, certainly, of an expanded playoff. We don't need to keep doing this. We're getting further and further away from what makes college football unique. I'd prefer to just go back to the BCS. I think that makes the regular season so much more meaningful, but we've already, the cat's out of the bag on that, right? Toothpaste is out of the tube. You can't really turn that back. We're already here. I just don't want to further damage that. But selfishly, from a Big 12 perspective, you have to look at that and say, well, that actually would be a really good thing for the league. If you could have the same amount of auto bids every year as the Big 10 and the SEC, that would be a lot better than most of the other alternatives, if not all of the other alternatives right now. So what that means is it's now on the SEC. I assume the ACC would be in line with this as well. Somebody maybe can ask Jim Phillips on record. I assume the ACC would go along with this also. Then it comes down to the SEC. Could they get the SEC to see eye to eye with them, the Big Ten, that is, on this, and give in to having the Big 12 have the same amount of auto bids as them? Still might be a bit of a tough putt, man. That might be tough, but we'll see. That, to me, is kind of the next step on this. They're going to have to get the SEC in line with them. That was not all Brett Yormark said today. He did talk about the SCORE Act, which, of course, is out there. That is not the plan that more closely resembles Cody Campbell's desires that would amend the Sports Broadcasting Act, but it does things like take the NIL, the local NIL laws that states have been passing, and just supersede all of that, get some protection to supersede all of that, make it all one uniform thing, right? Brett Yormark said he supports the SCORE Act, but that it's only a start. Okay, it's only a start. He doesn't think that that's the end. So he was sort of careful with his comments on that. He does support modest expansion. That was his word. Modest expansion of the NCAA tournament, but the right economics have to come with it. So money's got to be right. He talked about pushing to like 76 teams. Said there's some momentum. I don't like that. Again, like, we don't mess with something. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Don't mess with something that's great. I see why he's doing it. More teams probably means more Big 12 teams that get in the tournament every year. But like, we are so ruled by money and greed with everything that is happening in this sport. I don't love where we're at on that. Brett Yormark, speaking of that, he did say, hey, he wants to monetize the Big 12's international TV rights, and that's a part of why they're pushing to play games like next year at Wembley Stadium in London, Arizona State and Kansas. So you could expect more of that, probably. I think that, the Big 12 Mexico basketball game was tabled, but I think you're probably going to see like baseball and soccer eventually over there. And some of this is, as you head to the next Big 12 TV contract, I think they see an opportunity to make some extra money by monetizing international TV rights. And with some of these international games, I know people don't love them. Look, I'm a K-State fan. I saw how Ireland went this year for the Wildcats. But one thing to consider is that could help you with some international enrollment opportunities as well. And now you have a bunch of schools that are going to have to go to the university to ask them to subsidize the athletic departments, to give them some extra money to make it in rev share. So maybe some of the trade-off there is, all right, we'll do some things that are going to help us with enrollment in general. If you can get us some more international students by going to different international places, something to consider there. Finally, private equity. Brett Yormark did say specifically, private equity does not work for us. He says, we want that upside in the league, but then did say like, hey, there could be some other scenarios we're in favor of, which to me, I do take that to mean maybe more of just a capital infusion, which is closer to what the Big Ten has actually done as opposed to private equity. So you could look at this one of two ways. You could say Brett Yormark is either trying to say, hey, I don't like what the Big Ten did, or Brett Yormark is playing on semantics here, where the term private equity, I think, was used in the question. And so he can say, well, no, we don't like private equity, but in the back of his mind, he's thinking, well, maybe private capital, maybe some capital infusion here. Not entirely sure. I guess that's up for you to decide. But anyway, fun day in Kansas City. You guys know the drill. Best Big 12 podcast on the planet. See it right here in the hat. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel. Hat not for sale, not to be given away, at least as of right now. But who knows? If you pop into the live shows on Wednesdays and Sundays, typically this week it's going to have to be Thursday. All right. But midweek live show, Sunday live show, maybe we'll give away the hat at some point. Thank you guys. Take care, and I will talk to y'all soon.